so great about Italy anyway? You may have heard some bad things about this country, but put all those aside. We're gonna walk around and I'm gonna show you all the wonders and hidden gems that make Italy a must visit, and you'll see why you should put it on your travel bucket list. First, let me tell you a story about my first time in Europe. I came over from the United States to France. That was my very first time, but let's scratch that. My first big boy trip was when I traveled to Italy. I flew in to Milan Malpensa Airport, and there the adventure started and my love affair with this country began. I got in my rental cars, my first time to be driving on European roads, and I made my way up to Como, and I had to search for a hotel. I didn't have any online reservation, anything like that made in advance. I found a hotel there near the lake, and there I stayed for one night. And then I traveled to the east towards Bologna, hit up Verona, hit up Parma, ate all the great food. And that adventure gave me the taste and the desire to come back to Italy many more times over and over. What makes Italy so great anyway? Well, we're gonna go through those. It's the people. There's so much diversity in the people. You might think Italians, maybe they seem a little bit rude, or they're not. They're so warm and welcoming, and they're different from the south up to the north. The people in Naples have so much pride. The people in Sicily are so full of what I think Italy is all about. Up in the north, Milan, well, the Milanese, they know their city is not the best place, but they'll be sure to show you where you can find the best plate of risotto al Milanese. All you need to do is ask and they'll lead you to the restaurant. I mean, come on, this is Italy. I want to tell you about the stories of the people I met along the way in my first journeys in Italy. I can remember Marco. He lent me a bed to sleep in while I searched for an apartment, a place to stay when I was making my home here in Italy. I stayed at his place for about 1 week or so, and then I found that place where I could call home. Sergio, he had an old Fiat 500. If you've never seen one of those, the Cinque Terre, the old 500s, well, they're about this tall. They're so small. I made another video about driving those. They're so exciting. They're like nothing you've ever seen. Forget what you know about classic cars in the US. In Italy, they do them differently. Well, he made sure to take me out in that. He knew I loved those cars, so he gave me a ride around Pisa and gave me a taste of what the Tuscan culture was like. And one other trip, I can remember me and my friend Andy, we were in Sicily. We had a lot to eat and drink. We'd walk to this restaurant, and it was about 2 kilometers back to our hotel. And after we'd knocked off a few limoncellos, the digestive drink that the restaurant owner gave to us, the restaurant owner said, "Hey, where's your hotel? I'll drive you guys back." I'm not sure if he was having pity on us because he saw how much we had to drink and was worried about us actually making it home, or that was just his Italian charm. And speaking of food, well, how can we not talk about the best things in Italy if we don't mention the food? Because Italy is all about the food. Up in the north, you have gnocchi and tiramisu. In Milan, you got the risotto milanese. In Tuscany and Florence, you have the bistecca alla Fiorentina. In Abruzzo, the arrostocini. Down in Napoli, you got the pizza, the famous pizza. And in Sicily, of course, the cannoli, and there's so much more. The great thing about Italy is the food changes from area to area you visit. It's so regional, in fact, that lately I was trying to find a place, and right now I'm in Florence, Italy. Oh, look at this place. I was trying to find a place, a restaurant that makes trofei al pesto, and it's these little spiral looking pasta, fresh pasta shapes with, yes, fresh pesto. And it is so difficult to find a restaurant here that makes the dish. Why? Well, it's a Ligurian dish, and here we're in Tuscany. And so here you'll find your ragu with wild boar sauce. You have a hard time finding that pesto. One of the great things you can do when you're here visiting in Italy is take a cooking class. You may not be in it there to actually learn how to make the recipes, but you'll be able to interact with the teachers, with the cooks, and you'll get a sense what real Italian ingredients are like. and the preparation and care that they put into their dishes. Another thing you must do in any town, from small to a big city like Milan, is find the local food market. They'll be open up on certain days. They're usually open up in the morning, early morning from 7 till about lunchtime, and go explore those food markets. See the fresh produce that they have here that you may not find in your hometown. Also see all those cheeses, the fresh pastas, the meats. Here they serve up often rabbit, for example. And then in the United States, I know you really can't find rabbit. Here you can. Another item, the diversity. I know what you're thinking. Well, it's just a bunch of white Europeans. Yeah, yes and no. But you're gonna get diversity as you go from north to south. Up in the north, look at this fresh produce here. Up in the north, you're gonna have those Germanic influences in South Tyrol, German-speaking area, all the way down to the south where they have the Arabic influences down on the island of Sicily. There's so much diversity with the people, and in fact, in Naples or Sicily, the language they speak there is much different than the language they speak up in the north in Milan, or I should say the dialect is different. And diversity in the landscape as well. We have the Alps in the north with the snow that you can go skiing. We have the rolling hills of Tuscany, and you get down there to the beautiful coastline of the Amalfi Coast. You can find something, whatever you're out and desiring, you can find it here in Italy just traveling around. What did you notice when you were here visiting, or what are you most excited to see when you're here in Italy? Let me know down in the comments. The transportation is cheap and inexpensive in Italy. It's so inexpensive, you may find yourself on a train and in a different region in a blink of an eye. The good thing in Italy, the wine is good in any region you go to. Train tickets can be bought easily, and they can take you to and from the big cities like Milan down to Torino and Naples. But there's also those small regional trains that will take you to the little places like Bergamo, to Como, or Prato, or Pisa, or down in the south in the neighborhoods around Naples if you're up for an adventure. And those trains and the inexpensive buses allow you to visit and travel around Italy on the cheap. Also, flights. In Europe, we have super low-cost flights, especially if you're only doing a carry-on. As an example, I look for a flight from Venice to Rome, €70 one-way flight, so you can easily get from the north to the south if you don't want to drive it, if you can't drive it, or if the train is not available for you. I once took this ultimate road trip from the island of Sardinia. I was there for a few days, then got on a ferry, went down to Sicily, the other big island here in Italy, and was there for a few days, then crossed over to the mainland. It's a ferry, there's no bridge built yet, and then made my way up and around the mainland. Doing so really highlighted the diversity. On a road trip like that, or taking the train around Italy, you can really discover the diversity. And why is it so diverse? Well, you have to consider Italy wasn't a proper country until only recently after the war. Up until that point, it had a monarchy. Now we have a prime minister, a parliament, and things are different. And the country remains very much divided still. Why are there still walls around some of these cities and towns? Well, back in the day, they used to war. One little town would be killing the other members in the other town. So there's still a lot of beefs that towns and the people in the towns, the citizens, have with the citizens of the other little villages. Just squeezing through all the tourists here. They know Italy's a good place to visit, and one of the reasons what makes Italy so great anyway is the weather. Italy has 2 seasons, good for gelato and also good for gelato. It's pretty calm and temperate here in Italy. Year-round in some places like Rome, Florence, you can visit and you won't face cold weather that's too miserable to get out and explore in. Although the country does have a lot of diversity in its seasons. If you go to different areas up north in the Alps and the Dolomites, you can get great skiing up there in the winter, snow-covered Alps, so picturesque. Also, those same mountains in the summertime are perfect for hiking, for mountain biking. I can remember one time, one of the great memories I have being up there in the Dolomites on a clear day, when it's clear, because often you'll get some storms blowing through. Look, we got a storm coming through right now. Up in the Dolomites, they have bigger storms, but it was a clear day. Took a chairlift up to the top there and hiked around the peaks and really took in the nature, the beauty, got some photos, because the Dolomites are a special place that you should put on your list if you have extra time here in Italy after hitting up the tourist hotspots. You have year-round great temperatures in the vacation hotspots like Puglia or Sicily. I love Puglia. I've made several videos on it. Sicily too. I'm heading back there soon. I'm going to make some videos for you here on the channel. Those places, year-round, great temperatures. In the off-season, you can get great deals on hotels down that way that make it worth your while to visit. Another reason that makes Italy so great, it's Italia. I mean, what other reasons do you need? This is the land of art, culture, and food. It's all rolled up here, making it the perfect tourist hotspot to have on your bucket list, your must bucket list. This is the place that invented sewers, aqueducts, arches, the domes, musical instruction. There's so much history and culture to explore in this country. The fashion, of course, and the food. To dig into the culture and the art, well, I can suggest a few different museums. The Vatican down in Rome, the Uffizi in Florence, up north in Milan, in Brera, the Pinacoteca, I think I'm pronouncing it right, the Pinacoteca. And all those museums, you'll get a great overview of the history, the significance of art and culture here in this country and what it's given to the world. And then there's the beauty of the landscape. You have the gondolas in Venice, you have those vineyards in Veneto and Tuscany, and of course Vesuvius down around Naples. There's so many natural beauties that you can discover here that make Italy a vacation hotspot. Now, if you need further reading that's going to explain all the things I'm going over today, well, I made an e-guide, a PDF that you can download, have in your pocket offline for when you're traveling around here in Italy or for when you're preparing to make the visit. It's called the Italy Insider. There's a link to it downstairs in the description. The festivals and local events. Italy's festivals. España. Spain's also a great place. Italy's festivals are so immersive that you may find yourself dressed up in a medieval costume, jousting for a slice of pizza. In Siena, they have the Paio, the horse race in the piazza. In Venice, of course, Carnivale, which is great. I've been there and I'll get to a story on that. In Umbria, the Jazz Festival. These events are great and you can plan your holidays around some of these if any of those spark your interest. Of course, the Carnivale in Venice is a big one, but you gotta remember, Venice is like an Italian Disneyland, so plan accordingly. Also, consider the budget. It's gonna be kind of expensive. I was able to do it one year, got the mask, was there during the Holy Week of Carnivale and really had a good time. There were live bands playing at night in the different little squares and we were dancing, walking around with glasses of wine and just being obnoxious tourists. But it was a memory I have up here for the rest of my life. Now the fashion. Italy is known for its fashion. The land of Fendi, Armani, Gucci, all the big design houses are here. They say come for the culture, stay because you can't fit into the airplane seat after eating so much pasta and you blew your money on Gucci. You have the big shopping streets like the Via Condotti down in Rome or Monte Napoleone up in Milan. Also the fashion show, Fashion Week in Milan, and we have the PT Fashion Week in Florence. These are the big events, and if you're a fashionista, you can base your holidays around those events. Also come here to get some great deals on those fashion items that you can't get back home because they don't sell all those items everywhere in the world. Also, you can find great artisans here that make local goods that also can be very competitive on price. Usually they're set up Saturday and Sunday mornings in the local piazzas, and they're a great place to wander around and explore, even if you're not interested in buying. But if you do, you can find some bargains there. I can remember I used to be, I have a couple of Gucci belts. I don't wear them anymore. I still have them. I used to wear those Gucci belts around. Anyway, I'm not wearing those anymore, but in a local market, in one of the squares, I got a handcrafted leather belt with a beautiful looking belt buckle. That then I wore that after I grew out of the Gucci trend. And now these days, well, as you can see there, I don't wear belts anymore. Hey, these days I don't wear belts, but in Italy, you can find everything you want, up the high fashion down to the local artisans in the piazzas. This is the place for fashion. Art and architecture. If you're not into art, Italy may change your mind. And if it doesn't, well, there's always espresso. This place, it was the center of artistic and intellectual design. Italy came to the forefront, drawing on the classical Greek period and the ancient Roman world for a period of about 300 years. From the time of Giotto up through Raphael, it was the Renaissance, and it was pumping out so many masterpieces. When in Italy, you gotta dive deep into those stories and understand them in the museums. In my first visits, I didn't care. Only wanted to get some good pasta and drink some wine and be done with it. Over the years, I began to appreciate the artist and the art and the influence that Italy has had on the rest of the world. Also the architecture. You think about the Colosseum and the ruins down in the south, or up north, the giant cathedral that towers over Milan. And it was in that Duomo. I've taken my mom up there to the top. I've taken my sister up to the top on their visits. It is so stunning. You walk around the side door. When you're facing the front, there's a side door there to the left. You go there, and if you want, you can pay extra for the elevator, but I don't suggest you do that unless you really need to. Take the stairs, really live up the experience, go all the way up there, get your steps in for the day, and up on top, you can walk around on the roof and see all the little statues that make it so interesting and so intricate, so detailed. One of those masterpieces and iconic structures in Italy, and I'll cherish those memories with my sister up there and my mom forever, and I think you will too when you're here visiting in Italy. If there's anything out of all this list that you should take away and what makes Italy so great anyway, well, I have one word for you: vino. Yes, we can forget about everything else, pour ourselves a nice glass of Barolo, sip it back, and we'll be happy campers. Italy is home of good wine. What you can do when you're here is visit some wine tasting bars in the city centers. There, they'll let you sample the different wines from the different regions around Italy. If you can, what I recommend is get out there to the vineyards. I'm talking about the vineyards up in Piedmont or in Veneto, the vineyards in Tuscany, or the vineyards in Puglia, all these great places, beautiful landscapes. If anything, just go out there for the landscapes alone. Going out there, you'll get a better understanding of how the wine is made. You'll be able to do some wine tasting and maybe stay for a few nights too. I'll tell you my experience down in Puglia. I stayed in this castle among the vineyards there. I was able to drink wine and eat and just have a good time, but also get out there in the vineyards, fly my drone above them as well. And it's a heck of an experience and a total different experience than coming in here to the big cities and going in museum after museum. Out there, you're connected more with nature, and I really enjoyed that. So a trip I would recommend to you is maybe base yourself in Piedmont up in the north, tour the vineyards, pop into Torino, or do a trip into Puglia down in the south. I made another video about Puglia that you can check out. If you're not yet on the email list, I have all sorts of stories, travel tips, and hacks like this. You can sign up for the email list down below, and it's free. Also free is subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you as a channel subscriber and join the community with everyone else. The channel's growing. The more of you that subscribe, the more this channel grows, the more the YouTube algorithm pumps it out to other like-minded people like us, other travel lovers like us. Also, if you really want to support me, consider becoming a channel member. You'll get early bird access to my videos before they're available to the general public. You'll get prioritized comments. You'll get a little color emoji that goes next to all your comments and direct access to me. Check it out down below when you subscribe. Thank you. I know what you're saying. I'm tired of walking around all these cobbled streets, in and out of shops, in and out of museums. Well, Italy's got you covered. Outdoor activities, I've already mentioned that with visiting vineyards. Other things you can do, well, plan a holiday around the Dolomites, either skiing up there or hiking in the summertime, riding your mountain bike. Cinque Terre, my suggestion there, it's crowded, it's busy. Base yourself in La Spezia and take the train in to get to those little 5 lands and the stunning coastal line there. Or if you're into coast and the natural beauty of Italy's seaside, consider the Amalfi Coast. What you can do is base yourself in Naples, check out Naples for a few days, and then drive up and down the Amalfi Coast and check out some of the hot spots there. Be prepared to spend a little bit of money down there. Also, you know it's going to be a tourist hotspot, but it is worth your visit. So I think you can see what makes Italy so great. To know more about eating your way around this fabulous country, watch this video.